anticipated. 9.0, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 10.0, report out from closed session. There is nothing to report from closed session. 11.0, approval of open session agenda. I make a motion to approve the open session agenda. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. 12.0, presentations, students and staff.
Good evening, my name is Susan here at Principal at the primary school, and I would like to start by calling up Tammy Jacobs. This month, Tammy received an overwhelming number of nominations from her colleagues, and it's easy to see why. She is collaborative and trusted partner to teachers, working alongside them to find the best ways to support students who may be struggling. Tammy consistently shares effective, practical strategies with staff and parents, helping everyone feel confident and equipped to meet their students' needs. Despite an increasingly busy workload, Tammy never complains. Instead, she seeks guidance and collaboration when needed, demonstrating humility and a genuine commitment to growth. Her honesty and tireless work ethic are evident in everything she does, whether she's supporting staff, assisting students, or contributing to the positive culture at our school, and making sure we are all well equipped with anything beats. Tammy has also taken the lead in guiding our recess coaches, meeting with them regularly to ensure they feel supported and prepared. Her leadership helps keep our playground safe, positive, and fun for all of our little ones. The heck? Beyond her daily responsibilities, Tammy goes above and beyond to uplift those around her. She frequently sends encouraging messages via text and email, spreading positivity and reminding others they are valued. Her kindness, dedication, and professionalism shine through in every interaction. She consistently puts the needs of others before her own and models what it truly means to be a compassionate and selfless educator. We are grateful for Tammy's steady presence, her expertise, and her unwavering commitment to our students and staff. Thank you, Tammy, for the heart you put into your work every school day. Thank you. And Tammy has a couple of students she would like to acknowledge and recognize. Let's start with Miss Molly. So you come on up. All the way, Molly. So this is certification of recognition. Molly is a very kind being, as I point out on everybody. But she looks out for her friends. She's a trustworthy human being. Her characteristics are just go above and beyond. So I would like to repeat what I said about Molly. Molly is kind and always the first to include others and offer her peers help. She's insightful, motivated, and not afraid to face a challenge. She always has a smile on her face, and although she's quiet, she is positive, pleasant, and trustworthy. She's a great leader and has the top characteristics we like to see in our hive. I look forward to seeing her thrive in our hive. Thank you for being you, Molly. Tammy's lovely. Where's the stick? It is. Theodore, Meryl, come on up. Just so you guys know, neither of these children knew why they were here today. So they're like, I said, you guys aren't in trouble. It's really a good thing. I found it. So this is a recognition for Theodore. Theodore is a brother of a set of twins.
and he is just a phenomenal characteristic person. He's enjoyable. He always asks me how I'm doing. I don't know if you guys know, I actually stay at the gate and welcome them every day. And he's always saying, well, how are you, Miss Tammy? So I give him squeezels, is what I call him. And he always says, how are you? So it's always kind to hear back. So let me read what I said. Theodore comes to school with a smile and a hug. I welcome him every day. It's Theo and the crew. He's one of the bees that return my morning question with, how are you, Miss Tammy? Before he starts his day with his friends, he makes sure his siblings have had an option for extra breakfast, if needed, and then begins his day with his peers. He is athletic, kind, and always smiling. He's a pleasure having him in our hive with all of his great characteristics. Thank you for being me. So.
For our next couple of recognitions, I would like to invite Robin Berry to the front. He's our Maintenance and Operations and Transportation Manager. I'm recognizing him and a couple of members from our maintenance team, Pip and Bill. Robin will speak more to their recognition, but I would like to start with a heartfelt thanks as I watched them use their skills in concrete, building, painting, tractor driving, and especially sprinkler chasing. Robin and I have had a goal this year to complete any unfinished business, and they have been very, very busy. And we've been able to check a lot of things off the box. So with that, I'll pass it to Robin to recognize Pip and Bill.
So Bill and Pip are pretty much here all day with me during the days. Pip's been with us for about a year now, and he's kind of taken over doing a lot of the maintenance on the buses and stuff like that, and also regular maintenance things around the district. Has a lot of insight on a lot of different issues, so that's good, and willing to do whatever needs to be done for the district. So appreciate him being here. And Bill's been working with us since July, so he's kind of the same way. He's got a ton of knowledge. Can't even really say he's probably forgot more than I'll ever know. So, but it's been great with him. He's, like I say, he's got a ton of knowledge, and it's just an asset to have both of them with us. So I thank them for all of their hard work that they put into the district.
We're here? Yeah. Oh, aren't they Christmas? They're there. Oh, they were green. I thought they went to the elementary school.
Maybe it's.
Well, they did a lot
Are we doing elementary school? Oh, sorry, I thought we were doing elementary school. My bad. For anyone who is here just for the presentations, you're welcome to leave. If you would love to stay for our board meeting, you're welcome to stay. 13.0, information discussion items, updates, community events, staff announcements. 13.1, community staff and districts. A, any announcements from the community? B, certificated staff. C, classified staff. D, board members, any updates? Right, no, okay. The 4-H wrapped up their Mandarin sales and can't remember, we sold quite a few boxes and bags again. They're supposed to be delivered around the 20th of November, so if you bought from anybody, that's about when they'll be in. Our top sellers sold, one sold, I think it was like 400 and some, somebody else sold 300 and some. So we had a couple that sold a lot. We collected some canned foods and I dropped that off here today for the Thanksgiving. And next Wednesday, we're going to go shopping for turkeys, for the Thanksgiving baskets. And things, everybody's talking about getting their animals and things are going well. Anybody else? All right, E, primary site update.
Our attendance popcorn party was a hit. All students at school that day get popcorn, and those with 98% or higher for the trimester got an extra prize. We had several rainy day recesses. They went pretty well, although we were happy to get back outside. We started our multitude screener that's new this year, required by the state for all K-2 students. We're hoping that the assessment program we already use will adopt the screener so we don't have to do two separate programs. I had missed the Halloween parade, but there was an emergency with a parent and our staff did a really great job of making sure everybody was safe and calling the emergency 911. They handled it with swiftness and grace. The parties involved posted and called to say how grateful they were for that. And then the third grade parents did a quick about face and they had their parade in a different area. So it all worked out for everybody. They were quick thinking on their
Good. All right, F, elementary site update.
Lots going on since the last meeting. End of October, it was sort of a flurry. We had just a few highlights. The middle school dance, first middle school dance of the year was a lot of fun. I came and helped chaperone and hung out with the kids. Harvest Festival, of course, was a big success. Again, a lot of fun, really great atmosphere. We also finished the month with Red Ribbon Week. Did different activities related to Red Ribbon Week. Of course, our 8th graders got to go see Rocky Heron over at the Mar Auditorium, which got a lot of great feedback, positive feedback, great response from them on that. Some of our 8th graders that participated in TRIO got to do a trip to college and GEO State. So that was kind of a nice opportunity for them. Then of course we had our AR field trip to the movie theaters. A lot of the kiddos had fun doing that. End of the trimester, so report cards are coming out. We're also doing another round of our NWEA testing to see where everybody's reading levels are at. So that's happening. Basketball, girls basketball is well underway. We had a few tournaments that we participated in already. Probably the highlight was the Mount Shasta tournament over the weekend. Girls, I heard, played well, and it really just had a great bonding experience. A lot of fun up there, going to the falls and eat pizza and pasta and all kinds of good fun stuff. And then we do have our attendance party coming up as well. And we did have another near miss. We had another day where there was all but one student present. So we might get that 100%. That's kind of like becoming a goal of ours. It was not the same student, by the way. That was would be a bummer. So that's it for me.
Thank you. 14.0, communication to the board. There is none this month. 15.0, public comments. Public session items not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of this body may be addressed at this time or be submitted to the superintendent in writing for board consideration as an agenda item. Items not on the agenda are restricted in response and action by the board and its members. A 3-minute limit is set for each speaker on all items. The total time for public input on each item is limited to 20 minutes. Government Code 54952. In order to protect the rights of all involved, complaints about employees should be addressed through the district complaint process. Speaking about a personnel issue at a board meeting may prevent the board from being able to act on it. Please see an administrator to initiate the complaint process. 15.1, public comment session is open. 15.2, items on the agenda. .3, items not on the agenda. Okay, 15.4, public comment session is now closed. 16.0, consent agenda. Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Board members may request that an item be removed from the consent agenda for later discussion. Anybody have any questions about anything in there they want to remove?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. 17.0, personnel. 17.1, personnel action report. With that page, give me just a second. So looks like we hired 4 people. Anybody have any questions? Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the personnel action report.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, 18.0, discussion action items. We don't have 18.1 because we didn't remove anything from the consent agenda. 18.2, discussion. Notice of annual organizational meeting of the board. Annual meeting to be held December 10th, 2025, with the date, time, and location of board meetings to be set at that time. No action is required. This is for notification purposes only. When we come together in December, we will be, if we decide as a board to make changes, that we don't meet on the second Wednesday. We meet at a different date, or if it doesn't work for someone, we can talk about changing when our board meetings are and where they are. Anybody have any questions or discussion? 18.3, discussion action, approve the 25-26 CE certificated employee average waiver request. You want to speak to this?
Yeah, so, my understanding of it, Happy Valley doesn't meet this requirement every year, but basically, it is just a test that the state runs to make sure that certificated staff are being paid adequately based on how much funding we've received. So they just run a generalized test saying you're required to spend a certain percent on certificated salaries. The biggest reason that Happy Valley doesn't is because we have to outsource so much. I think that's the biggest factor for Happy Valley is, for speech, things like that. A lot of things have to do with the GPA. Those aren't your certificated salaries. We do claim some of it as an exemption, but we weren't too far off. I'm not sure what the prior years. Just a little over 4%, and the actual dollar amount of that is $225,000. So,
And remind me, is it SCOE that approves the waiver, or is it the
Yeah.
state?
so yeah, you get, Tina approves it, you guys approve it, and then it goes to SCOE for final approval.
And I noticed on this page 23, it says reason for request, and it says to check one of the boxes, but none of them are checked, so.
I think we're supposed to do a meeting, I did that from, that's what I looked at previous years. So I think during this meeting, I'll check one off, and then at the end of it, I'll have to sign it.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? So, does we have to approve it? Yeah.
I make a motion to approve 25-26 CEA waiver request.
I will second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? 18.4, discussion action, approved custodian maintenance bus driver job description and placement on classified salary schedule. This one, do you want to see?
We just combined we added the driver to that position.
Yeah, it was previous positions were custodial and maintenance, but there was never like a triplet one where it kind of covered everything, including the bus driver, is that correct on that? Yeah, so,
Our office goes short, we bus driver. We posted for a bus driver, we couldn't find a bus driver, so we need somebody to be a substitute bus driver. We needed, we also needed custodial maintenance as well.
Okay, so this just enables the custodian maintenance person to be a bus driver as well. And on the salary schedule, surely they fall in line with all the requirements and certificates that are needed for that district, that role, right? Robin says yes.
So-
I see your head bobbing up and down, Robin.
Robin says yes.
Okay,
Or it
so,
allows them, like, if they don't have their driver's license, they can get, and we can help them with that.
okay. Okay, I make a motion to approve the custodian maintenance bus driver job description and placement on the classified salary schedule. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Discussion action, approve boys basketball tournament in Weed, out of county in January. I'll second that.
Boys basketball tournament.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so I asked for the next item to be added to the agenda. I think it's the next item. Yes, it is. Discussion action, board policy 6153, school sponsored trips. This is a policy that states that we as a board have to approve when the students go out of county or overnight. It is an optional part of a policy. And unless somebody here really wants to have the power to say we should have to approve it, technically even when they go to Evergreen, they're out of county. So it seems ridiculous that we even, I don't know, I couldn't figure out why that part was put on that because it's only optional. There is some, if you Google it really well, you can see that some school districts wanted the board to approve any time when students were missing out on instructional time or full days of instruction time. I lean on the,
I think the
empower the
superintendent
principals to make, and the athletic directors to be able to do that. So it's an option to have it in the policy. I personally would like to propose that we take that verbiage out of the policy and not have to approve. In my tenure on being on the board, I think we've probably had at least 3 special board meetings just because it got missed, added to the regular agenda. So then we're like, do we have at least 3 people, a quorum that can show up to approve the kids to go out of town? So if anybody has any objections, we can talk about it, but I propose we remove the section of the board policy 6153 that requires board approval for students going out of town or overnight. Out of county or overnight. I make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, perfect. May we never do that again. 18.7, are you guys ready? Discussion action, approve updated June board policies and August special board policies. So these were back in the September packet, if you had those 858 pages of documents to go through. And I have my notes here, so we'll just go through them one by one. And I'll just call out the board policies. I made notes for myself here, whether it was mandated or optional. From the get-go, you guys know if it's an optional policy, I really like to dig in and see if it's a policy that we really need to even have in the first place. We basically have had all policies that CSBA ever recommends, and I've been trying to trickle them down and drop them as we don't need them. So Board policy 0410, non-discrimination in districts and activities. This actually is a mandated policy, so it's not an option to have it or not have it. I personally didn't see anything in it that, that I was opposed to myself, so you have to fill in the blank. So fill in the blank for the person who is the point of contact, and I think our policy actually reads superintendent, not Gina Murphy, but it says superintendent as the point of contact. Does anybody have anything they want to discuss on board policy 0410? Is anyone opposed to adopting it as proposed by CSBA? Okay, so I'm gonna go through each of these, and if we agree, I'm gonna make that note on this document, and then at the very end, we'll make a motion to approve based on what, or drop or whatever, based on all the agreements we came to, and then I'll give this to Rhonda. Okay? So for 0410 board policy, we agree to adopt as proposed. Board policy 0420.4 is a charter school authorization. We do not have a charter school. We've already dropped other policies that were in relation to charter schools, so I propose we drop. Wait, we don't have this policy anymore. We already dropped this policy. I'm sorry. We don't even have it because we got rid of it already. They're suggesting an update to that policy. We don't have it, so I propose we do not adopt this update. We don't have this policy or the accompanying regulation. Next down.
Agreed.
Same thing with the board policy 0420.41 and the exhibit that goes along with it, the charter school oversights. Again, we don't have charter schools, and we've already dropped those policies. Unless anyone is opposed, we will not adopt these policies again.
Agreed.
All good down there on the end? Perfect. Okay. Board policy 0440, district technology plan. This technology plan was a required mandated policy, and they've removed that option to require it. It's now optional. So there wasn't anything in the policy that I thought, well, it's worth keeping when I read through it. It just, again, is more bureaucracy telling us what we have to do with the technology that we use. So unless anyone is opposed, I propose we drop it because it's not a mandated policy. But if there's something that you find of value, I'd like to discuss it. No? So we are not, we're gonna drop this policy?
Yes.
Okay, board policy 0441 is a new policy that they are proposing schools to adopt. This one is an optional policy. And again, I give the disclaimer, I almost always would lean personally towards not having optional policies. But this one in particular is really heavy in the AI, I'm sorry. And I struggle to adopt a policy that's so strict on usage of AI when AI is changing so rapidly right now. I could envision that in an English class in which a student is supposed to write an essay, that AI might not be allowed in that class, but maybe in a journalism class, AI would be an amazing tool for the student to use. So if you're restricting the usage of AI, it could be used in one classroom to huge benefits, and it could be considered cheating in another class, another topic. And this was a pretty broad policy over the use of AI. And again, I just think that it's advancing so quickly right now that I think strapping it down. Yeah, I personally didn't want to adopt it, but if anybody has anything else they wanted to add to that conversation.
I agree.
Okay. Okay, board policy 0450, comprehensive safety plan. This one is an optional policy. It is strictly there are strict requirements in Ed Code about, having a comprehensive school safety plan. Even without a policy, you have to have a plan in place, and it has guidelines and requirements for that. So the policy is like extra stringent on top. So I'm proposing to drop this optional policy because we're required by EDCO to have a safety plan in place. If we decide not to drop it, you have to choose an option, and we would be option 2 because we're smaller than 2,500 students. So that was my finding in looking through it. Did anybody find any value in keeping that policy? Anybody opposed to dropping it? And the accompanying AR. Board policy 1113, school and district and school websites. Again, it is optional. So do we want the policy to regulate what we do with our website?
I don't think so. There's already stipulations on what we have to keep on our website.
What we have to post and all the notifications we have to send out is all very regulated through
Yeah,
the
I
Ed Code.
don't think we need more. Do you think? I don't think so. No, okay, we're all good.
Okay. Okay. Board policy 1312.3, which is the uniform complaint process. This is a mandated update. I just want to express that I have one concern about updating this policy right now because we are in the midst of a uniform complaint process, a procedure. And so I'm not opposed to any of the updates here personally, but it feels
If we
out
update,
of date.
shouldn't change it.
I feel like we should change it once the uniform complaint procedure that we're in completes. So that we don't change the procedure midstream on this particular investigation.
Would we, yeah. We could revisit it. I say, can we revisit it?
Well, yeah, we can decide to do whatever. Again, there's nothing that I'm opposed to updating here because it is, there's legislature and laws that in there. But I feel like that this one and then, no, but there are a couple procedural changes. And I would hate to, in this one and in the Title IX complaints that are coming up, because we're also in the midst of a Title IX complaint investigation.
And we've done that before in the past when there's been a change or whatever, and we're in the middle of something to do that we've waited. So
Yeah.
I think we should wait. Are you guys, what's your thought?
I did reach out to the attorney and ask them their thoughts, because I'm like, this feels like we should wait until after we complete the procedure that has already started, because the procedure is lined out in the regulation.
We don't want to delay.
But they did not respond to me, so I haven't heard back from them what their thoughts are. Let me just check my email to make sure it didn't come in this afternoon. I sent it to them on Monday. But I do think that one of our attorneys is out of the office. Did you or Josh have any thoughts on this? Josh?
Is there a time frame when we have to pass this, or it has to pass?
So, I don't really know the answer to that question. What I do know is that several years ago, they went years without ever looking at these board packets and never updating anything. We are finding, we've gotten to where we are basically a quarter behind, because it takes that long to go through a first read and a second read and then have this meeting. So I
personally have never seen a deadline unless it's in the actual policy itself. That's
Like,
what's
okay.
the deadline.
So yeah,
Wait,
so the cell phone
like
policy, it says you have to have a policy by July 1st of 2026.
Well, why don't we table this one until next quarter when we look at our next set
Okay.
of policies?
I agree. So we're in first read, this is November, second read, January. I want to make sure
So
it
it's either
gets,
December or March.
huh?
The next ones will come out in December and the next ones will come out in March.
Right,
So let's table
but
it
we're
till
gonna have a
March.
whole, I'm just thinking we're gonna have, so we have first read of September now, we'll have second read in December, and we're gonna talk about the September packet in January, so I'm wondering if on these, if we should table them to February, because we already have a whole packet to go through in January. Does February sound
Yeah.
fine with everyone?
Yeah.
Same thing with the accompanying AR. So Rhonda, on all these ones that I say table to February, will you make sure they end up on that February agenda, please? Same thing with the exhibits that, the exhibits, 1312.3 and exhibit 1 and 2. These are optional exhibits and they only pertain to schools that have preschools, and we don't have a preschool, so I vote to not adopt them. Okay. Okay, AR 3512, equipment. This, if you read through, I don't know if you guys read through this thing, it's an optional policy and it is very in-depth into all of the logs and records that you have to keep on equipment. It's got a whole section on loaning equipment, like if someone, it made it sound like anyone could just ask to borrow equipment, and then you have a process for borrowing equipment, and it was, I don't know.
And you'd never see it again.
We actually do have the policy, we don't have the borrowing part in there, I think that's a new part they're trying to propose, but it's an optional policy, and as you read through it and all of the records that you have to keep on your equipment, I would question whether we're actually even keeping all those records right now. And I propose we drop because it's optional, but that's just where I lean on all of them almost. Did anybody find anything of value in that policy that they wanted to keep? That for the E also. And that is for the E also. Okay. AR 3542, school bus drivers. This is a mandated policy. There was one particular part in it that I think is new, and I had a question. I don't know if it's for HR or Robin, but do we have any bus drivers over 65 years old? Because the policy states that they're 65, before they turn 65, they have to turn in a medical evaluation form, and then after, as of 65, they have to do it annually. Every year. Okay, I just want to make sure. I wasn't sure if we had anyone who met that criteria. Because that's new.
I mean, Janet might be there, but I think she would be the only one at this time.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that we were aware that the policy now states that it's every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the CHP now does a turbo check, it's a surprise turbo check, and they expect a certain percentage of our bus fleet, and then they also go through all of the records, maintenance records, and also personnel records for each bus driver, and that is something that they check too.
Okay.
So
I didn't have any issues with that. I just wanted to make sure that we were in compliance with that one new component. Does anybody have any objection to adopting the policy update as proposed? Not as proposed. Board policy 4030, discrimination in employment, and this goes through, I think there's several. There's a policy and a regulation on this one. It's a mandated, it's just about not discriminating against people that you hire. I didn't see anything that I was opposed to. Anybody have any objection? And then adopt as proposed. It did have on the regulation, there was, you needed to fill in a blank for the person to submit. If an applicant felt as if they were discriminated against. And I wasn't sure if that would be superintendent or maybe you as the point of contact for HR. She says you. I kind of felt you, which is why I did put down the question. So I think,
I didn't say Rhonda, I said HR.
yes, okay. And we don't name you in our policies, we just say
So then I appoint Darcy.
So on the regulation, I say adopt as proposed, but I say that we list the HR point of contact as the person in the policy. Anybody opposed? Board policy 4033 in regards to lactation accommodations, that's a mandated policy and it's something that bothered me. Anybody else? Board policy 4112.9, employee notifications. I'm just gonna be frank on this one. This is an optional policy and it seems redundant to common sense, but there is an exhaustive list in the policy as to all of the notifications that you're required to give to employees, which are required by Ed Code. And so my question is all of this information in this policy also found in Ed Code? So, that's what I wanted to make sure of, because it's a long
There is
list.
no one by one, but we can require the med code, mostly routine.
So there is actually another board policy that lists all the things that I'm supposed to put out at the beginning of every year. If they're proposing another one,
No, this is an update to that.
update to the one that's already.
Yes. It's already in place, but
I'm just gonna be honest, I started going through and started putting all the stuff on the website, but it's very long and you have to research, find the links and all that stuff, and I haven't gotten hold of them yet.
well, the reason
I
I
put it on the employees portion of the website, and they sign a piece of paper that says they have access to it, it's on the website, we provided it for them.
The reason I asked is because it was an exhaustive list, and every single item had in parentheses, Ed Code 42139. And so if it's in Ed Code, does it also need to be in a policy? That's my question. And it's an optional policy, so if it's part of Ed Code, yeah,
Seems redundant.
that's what I thought, but
And
again,
it is an optional policy,
it is an optional policy.
and I say we drop it, okay, all stuff within that.
And it goes through, so as a reminder on the 4000 series, it's a repeat, so 41 is certificated staff, 42 is classified staff, and 43 is like business staff, right? Is that right, Rhonda? So when you see 41, okay, 12, 42, 12, 43, 12, they're all the exact same policy.
I vote we drop them all then.
Anybody have an opposition to that? Okay, there's a bunch of,
Just a quick question, we have these already correct?
we have them already, so we're gonna drop them.
Or we're going to drop?
We're gonna, and I have that on here, we're going to drop them as a policy.
Do not adopt.
It's not that we're not going to adopt, we're going to abandon this policy. So in the past, we've had policies that we vote to keep, but we're not adopting their update. These ones, we're not going to keep these policies. When you go to our policy page, this will no longer pull up. Board policies 4119, 4219, and 4319, and all of the regulations are all mandated policies in regards to sexual harassment. There wasn't anything on them that seemed out of the norm for me. The contact for the, on the regulations, the superintendent is listed on our policy. So unless anyone has anything they want to discuss or anything they're opposed to, I just had adopt as proposed. Okay. Regulation, this is the one, Title IX complaint procedures. And again, this is a mandated update, there's nothing that I'm opposed to in updating it, but I do think we should wait until after, because it changes the procedure slightly, and I don't want anything to have to like take us back to step one on the investigation that we're currently in midstream. So I would want to table this to February.
And that's just the complaint procedures, which I don't mind that.
Yeah, and the, so this would be 41-19, 42-19, and 43-19. Okay. Board policy 5125, release of directory information. This is a mandated update. I didn't see anything in it that seemed glaring to me. I was surprised to see that you could release information to Army recruiters and colleges and stuff, but it's the policy as it is, so.
Is that mentioned high schools in that policy?
It does say, I think that one says 7 through 12, which I thought was, because some of them said job, like if a student was applying for a job or something, that the potential employer is one of the categories, so clearly that wouldn't apply to a 7th grader, but I think the policy itself says for schools that teach 7 through 12.
So, you can always change those as well, instead of it saying 7 through 12, you can change it to 7 through 8, because that's all we have, and then you can always delete anything that mentions a high school or anything that we do not do, because we don't have that age group of children.
Okay.
Which shortens the policy. Just
Okay. Good to know. I think it's only like a 2-sentence thing. It just surprised me that it's even in there. Does anybody have any opposition to adopting as proposed? For the policy, the regulation, or the exhibit? And in the exhibit, you have to name the school district that you're in. I don't know why they have to fill in the blank, but it's probably already that way on we already have that exhibit adopted, Rhonda, so I'm sure it's already there. But there is an update to it, so just make sure you fill in that blank when you do it. Okay. It's a regulation 5131.41, and it's use of seclusion and restraints. So this goes into some detail on what's called prone containment. I'm not trained in that stuff, but I did a little research. And the only question I would have, because it is restricting that you can't put a child in a prone restraint. I just want to make sure that lines up with any restraint training that we have we currently train that we don't go into a prone position. Okay, I just wanted to make sure we didn't, before we put it into place, that we didn't have training that said otherwise. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it didn't go against anything that we had currently trained for. And this one I believe is, I don't know that this one is mandated. I can't, it doesn't say that it is. But in any case, I didn't have any opposition to it, but we adopt as proposed. Anyone have got anything else? Board policy 5145.3, non-discrimination harassment. It's a mandated update. On the policy, I didn't have any opposition. On the regulation, there are parts of the regulation that appear to be mandated and parts that don't appear to be mandated. This is one of those policies that fringes on current issues with sports and multiple genders in sports and non-discrimination based on gender identity, gender expression, all of that. So the regulation itself, again, I don't pull up my computer, but there were parts of the regulation that are required and parts that aren't. And it looks like that particular part was optional. Sorry, I should have had my computer out. I thought I would be good without it. Do any of you have the cross out? There, right here. Give me just a second to scroll down. Because there are optional parts. Sorry, guys. The one question I had, do we participate in CIF? The California Interscholastic Federation, is that just for high schools? Like I know that NEST plays for CIF, plays for CIF roles in high school, but I don't know that at a. What's that? I just don't know that. That part out in this second. This was such a long one to read through. And this is one of the policies that, if I'm being honest, when you read through, like, they give you the highlights of the changes that are coming, but they gloss over some big controversial parts that are in there that they don't even, they have like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then really small, and also. So it's not even listed as 5. Trying to get to the part that I saw that was optional. Just a second. Let's see. Yes. Well, prior to receiving investigations. And so on page 816, it says support for intersex, non-binary, transgender, and gender non-conforming students. It does not say that this section is required. It says, in light of recent federal executive orders that potentially conflict with state laws, as well as legal challenges to state laws, including challenges based on religious beliefs, it is recommended that districts with questions about the rights of transgender and non-gender conforming consult their legal advice. But it does not say in here that this is a required section. And then it goes into great detail, gender identity, gender expression, gender transition, gender non-conforming, conforming, intersex, non-binary, sex, transgender, and all of that we should not be restricting in sports for those. So, this is when being on the board isn't necessarily fun and we all get to bring our personal opinions here. I am not in support of males and female sports. Females and male sports.
I'm not either.
So,
Josh, are you?
Especially open use of facilities.
it does,
Yeah.
yes, it does talk about them using the locker rooms and,
No, I'm not okay with that. Okay, it sounds like they're all.
there are sections, and I have to admit I'm not, because some of this is mandated, but some of it is not, and some of it is, the way that I feel it's written is the state of California trying to just say it's a good idea to take it now before the federal government says don't do it. So I think on this one, because there are parts that are mandated, and I did not come prepared enough to say which parts are and which parts aren't, because I got to the parts that I opposed to, and I went, I'm just opposed to this.
Yeah.
And so on the regulation, I think that we should come through it more and see what parts do we actually have to adopt.
So can we?
There are, in trying to compare what they're proposing to what we currently have in our policies, like on athletics, I pulled up our current policy, and it already has some of this verbiage in it. And so I called Rhonda, and I'm like, when did this verbiage come in? Because in 2019, did we even have gender expression? But apparently we did, because in 2019, when they used to just get these big packets and say approved, they already put that verbiage in there. So I would actually, it wouldn't hurt my feelings to be one of those boards that changes our policy and bucks the system.
So do we want to table it to February or next month?
Whatever feels good for you guys, I just don't feel prepared to make a decision tonight, but
I don't want to agree to anything that we don't actually know.
I don't think, December's not necessarily a heavy board meeting, right? Yes, no? I mean, our organizational thing is literally just figuring out what time works for everybody.
And we do that.
So I could come, I could, keep in mind that we have we have Thanksgiving, so I don't know if that interferes with anybody going, you'd be able to do your own research, because that's what I would be proposing, is everyone do your own research, look into this, and we can come back and kind of tear this one apart a little bit.
No, I definitely want to know what we're agreeing or not agreeing to. So next month works for everybody?
Table to December. Board policy 5145.6 is parent guardian notifications. This is another policy that goes through the notifications, it goes out to parents. I don't know, this one didn't have like ed code in the parentheses. Like the notification for the employee said this is part of ed code. But this one didn't have the ed code on, sorry. I didn't do that. And so it's an optional policy. Again, it regulates what notifications need to go out
Optional, I say,
to parents, but I just wanted to, when it's in our policy, you're required by ed code to notify parents of certain things. Like one of the things was 3 days before we do pest control, we have to notify parents, something like that. Is that required by ed code, or is it only in our board policies? I don't want to take it away if it's not part of ed code. You don't know?
Did you say we do it? Did you say we do it? You don't know? We do it.
That's a table to December? Okay, but I want to, if we're tabling it to December and the exhibit, I want to assign one of you to do the work to figure out if it's an ed code. Who's doing it? Larissa and Gina. Okay.
These ladies.
I'll move it back a little bit if you want to do it. If there's more there tabling. Okay, absolutely. I'll have, my writing is atrocious, but I'll have Rhonda email you a copy of this.
That would be great.
Okay. Board policy 5145.7, sexual harassment. This is in regards to complaints, and it does, make mention of the Title IX. And so again, because we are in an investigation, I think we should table to, February on this. And all the way through the exhibit below it. I'm gonna move a little closer because now I feel very far away, sorry. All right, April to February, let's go down to board policy 5146. Now, while I understand that we could have an eighth grader become pregnant, having a policy about married, pregnant, and parenting students in middle school that is optional, just seems silly to me. Like, again, I think there are regulations in place without the board telling the school what they need to do. I propose we drop them. Anybody have any? Board policy 6142.91. We did this last time on a bunch of other subjects, but this is a policy on reading language arts. And again, Ed Code already regulates the content that must be taught within that subject. So much like we did with math and one or two other subjects last quarter, I propose that we drop this optional board policy. I'm seeing head shake yes. Okay, perfect. Board policy 6145.2, athletic competition. This one had a lot of required training for the coaches in regards to heat exhaustion and concussion and stuff like that. And so I just wanted to make sure that we have, and there's quite a bit of requirements in regards to safety plans for each of those scenarios. And so my question is, are we ready for the required training and all of the safety plans that we need for this?
So coaches already do CPR training, CPR first aid. They already do concussion training, they already do cardiac arrest training, they already do heat exhaustion training, sports supervision training. They also have to do some of the ones that we do, so the sexual harassment training, they have to do the bloodborne mandated reporter, they have to do suicide now, they have to do, they do a lot of training for the community coaches.
Okay.
Plus pass the background checks.
And this one doesn't say that it's mandated, which I thought was odd because we're entrusting the coaches with a lot, a girl got hurt at the volleyball game last night and they're trusted to make sure that she's okay, So it seems strange to me that this wasn't a mandated policy, so I'm good with, if it's not mandated, we don't have to have it. Seems like a lot of good measures in there, but we drop a lot of the optional policies. So this is one where I really wanted to leave it open for discussion for everybody. They're all open for discussion, but this one, I don't feel strongly either way.
Well, it sounds like it's stuff they all already do. Is that mandated by something? It's written somewhere?
Are they doing it because it's our policy, or are they doing it because it's required by the county or the state? Because if it's our policy for them to be trained on these things, and that's the only reason that they're doing it, we would want to keep that policy.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, they were just doing it when I came in before, so we just.
I don't imagine that those are like CDE requirements, because
There are requirements in there.
yeah.
Right.
I don't think it's a board policy thing, I think it's a state.
Pen, yeah, so much like everything else, if it's optional, I wanna look if it's something that we don't have to have a policy on because it's already regulated through some other avenue. So on this one, I wanna table to December to do the research. And I am going to task Gina with having Corey do the research on this. He's our athletic director, he should know that.
He might already know.
I do know that Tori and Joey, when they did coach down at West Valley, they would not take the Keenan trainings from here that they had already done. They had to do a whole other separate sit, and a lot of it was the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing when Shelby came from Anderson or Cascade. She had to do stuff when she got here.
You know, you're considered an employee in theory, whatever you go.
Right. I just wanna make sure that there is some regulation somewhere else that says they need to have this training before we drop it. Because it's not mandated.
Yeah.
We wanna whittle down as many policies as we can, but we wanna keep those that are of value to us. And because that's supposed to be he's supposed to be the subject matter expert on athletics, let's have Corey come through that proposal for us and see if we're good in another area where that's regulated. AR regulation 6159.4, behavioral interventions for special education students. This is an optional AR and we already have a policy. About, let's see, we already have the policy, it's an optional AR, do we need this, should we drop? The regulation itself implements required tracking and additional administrative tasks, in my opinion. So unless somebody saw something, I didn't think that we should have this myself. We have a policy on, yeah, we recorded all already, so I think I don't know what page that one is. This is me going away from printing all this stuff. I'm not letting
I'm sure you've not printed 1,000 pages.
Well, there's a policy on interventions for behavioral interventions already. This is just a regulation. And it was, I thought it was redundant to the policy and it just adds more administrative work and tracking. Usually it's unusual that they did it a few times in this packet where they update the regulation only. Usually they're updating both the policy and the regulation, but in this one, I don't know. So my proposal was to drop it, but anybody have any objection to that? Board bylaw, 9011, disclosure of confidential privileged information. I couldn't see on this one that it was mandated or optional. I didn't see anything in their proposed update that I was opposed to at all, quite honestly. So, unless anybody else has anything they saw in it, they are updating. It says a board member shall not disclose confidential information, and it's striking through some of that verbiage and adding in a little bit. It says to any person, I'm trying to go through all this strike throughs, except as authorized by law, this bylaw, or other board bylaws or policies. There's some confidential what it means and what it does not mean in here. Information acquired in closed session is new. I think they struck through in nope, that's new. Information contained in communications provided to board members from the district attorney. Information deemed confidential by the board. Confidential information does not include information that is already publicly disclosed, provided that if the initial disclosure did not violate law, this bylaw, or other board bylaws or policies. That's new. There's a new section here on, it is a misdemeanor for a board member to willfully and knowingly use or disclose for, I wish I could tell you, I'm going to say pecuniary gain, and any information acquired in the course of the board member's official duties where all of the following conditions are met. And there's a couple criteria there, that's new. Again, it didn't, I mean, there wasn't anything to me that I was opposed to it, so. Anybody have anything about this one they don't want to adopt? Okay, adopt as proposed. And then we have a quick little August special packet. Board policy 6141.2, recognition of religious beliefs and customs. This is an optional policy. There's nothing in it that I'm opposed to, but it is an optional policy, so it's in regards to basically allowing people that have, you know, the ability to, you have to have all the.
I think it was listed right there, right?
Yes. It's to upheld the First Amendment right, prohibiting the district from including gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, queer, and questioning storybooks as part of the elementary school instruction without having provided parents with notice and the ability to opt out. So essentially, if we had instruction on that or access to it in the library, I believe is also included in this, that parents could opt out and have their children included in that education. And so I personally, and we all come to board meetings, bringing our personal perspective and our communities, and for me personally, I would want the option to be able to opt out of that. Yes, agreed. So even though this is an optional policy, I do support it. Yeah. Same thing with the regulation. So board policy 6142.1, sexual health and HIV/AIDS prevention and instructions. This is not a mandated policy. I strongly oppose this policy. I believe it has an introduction of education on sexual orientations in school that don't belong in school. The policy requires education on sexual orientation. I think that to require a school to teach about orientation is not something that I personally am in support of.
So we'll drop those ones.
Board policy 6142.8, comprehensive health education. This one is, it goes into teaching education on health, which includes sexual matters. It is an optional policy. I will say the part that I like about the policy is it does have the option to opt out. But
Is that just like normal sex ed?
it goes
stuff,
into,
education that we're already doing? Is that what it's?
it has the LGBT stuff in it as well. So, prohibited a district from including education in their instruction without providing the parents the ability to opt out. So it's optional again. So I always want to make sure I go back to, I try to make sure that actually we can read through optional policies to see if they actually bring value to our district or not. In this case, I like that this optional policy allows for an option for a parent to opt out of certain education they wouldn't want someone else to give to their children. It's not saying it's not going to be taught in school. It's just saying they can't teach it without allowing a parent the opportunity to say, I'm not going to have my kid go to that class. Right. Again, it's not saying we're not going to have this here. It's saying that a parent can choose whether or not their child is exposed to it. So anybody opposed to adopting as proposed? Same thing on the regulation. And that was it. Woo-hoo! Sorry. A lot of work coming to an end. What is that? You do? That's coming out.
Okay,
That's our first read for September.
okay.
Did you read through all this? Well, you're prepared for January, dear.
Well, I can read through it again.
So, okay, I wrote down everything that we said. I'm gonna leave this here. If you guys wanna go through it, make sure I wrote it down accurately, that's fine. But otherwise, I propose that based on all of the things that we agreed on in the June and special August CSBA board packet updates, we go based on what we agreed on here verbally. I make a motion for that.
I second that.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Cheryl, or not, I'm sorry. Rhonda, did you make a note when Cheryl left? Okay. 18.8, discussion, updated September board policy. So Rhonda included in this packet the September CSBA board packet. This is our first read on that. So this month we'll see it for the first time. Next month we'll have an opportunity to read it at home again, and then come in January prepared to do the same thing.
It was only 200 pages, which felt light.
And Erin's all ready, so she's like, let's do it December. No, so we'll do it. We'll have a second read next month. That'll give us a nice December break from policy so we can enjoy the holidays. 18.9, discussion cell phone subcommittee update. I have to admit, me personally, I've been busy as the point of contact for investigations going on, so I haven't even had a chance to call a meeting. Josh and Chris, if you guys feel called to call a meeting and make some progress on the subcommittee, please feel free and I'll be able to give you that attention to have a meeting, but I just haven't had the bandwidth between work and the other stuff to call a meeting. Keeping in mind that our current policy meets the requirement, yes, we as a district want to update our policy, but we're not out of compliance and we don't have to have a new policy in place until July 1st. But I'm just going to throw myself under the bus. I have not had the capacity to call a meeting on this. So unless you guys have anything to add, again, feel free to initiate conversations if you guys want to get together. 19.0, superintendent update.
We'll pass this out and recorded that at the end. While you're passing that out, we had the Harvest Festival. It was really just a lovely, lovely evening, and the rain waited till the very end, and it was a really, really good Harvest Festival. So thank you to PTO and all the parents and staff that helped with that. It was the first time it's been on a Friday night, and I don't know if it's ever been on a Friday night, but it worked out well, and there was good feedback.
My mom said when she used to come to it as a child, it was in the evening, but
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I was a kid, it was in the evening. It was always dark.
Oh,
So I
okay.
liked that. Yeah.
it definitely gave a more Halloween feel.
Yeah, it was,
Yes.
there were a lot of just added little things, it was good.
The food trucks are awesome.
The food truck, the haunted bus was my favorite.
Robin, I'm curious though. Monday morning, was it at all hard to get any preschool or TK kids onto the bus after having a haunted bus at the?
They didn't want to get on?
Nobody said anything.
When I saw the haunted bus, I thought, I wonder if anyone's gonna go, no, thank you.
And we're doing a food drive right now to raise Thanksgiving dinners for 12 families. Sandy was coordinating that at those schools.
What days do those go out, you know? Okay. I'm sure it's on the communication.
Sure, it's
I
on the
should figure out what
flyer.
my deadline is.
With Sandy, I'm coordinating with Sandy right now with the Thanksgiving boxes for our families.
When does the drive end?
Next Wednesday, November 19th.
Perfect, thank you.
TKK, the costumes will be done by the end of the month, and the site work is still on schedule to be done at the end of December.
Woohoo!
So that's super exciting. I have made it to some basketball games, and the crowd has been really encouraging. I've seen us have really big wins and really big losses, and they've been really good sports, and it's been a nice crowd. Our NWEA benchmark assessments have given some really good data, and we did an NWEA training on how to run reports and how to read the reports, and then we have one on the fluency data coming up next on our next district-wide meeting. And then, drum roll, please. Okay. The data summary for the cast I just gave you, the dashboard went live on Friday, I want to say, and there were some glitches, but just some highlights. You can read the highlights. We will take this information and dig deeper with our teachers coming up. Our biggest celebration is that our ELA scores district-wide increased by 10%, which was the highest growth in the county. I'm gonna end it right
That is really good. Drop. Mic drop, is that what it's called?
there. Mic drop. Okay. There's lots to celebrate on here, so that's just a summary for you guys to take a look at. You can go deeper on the dashboard as well. So can parents. So they just put in California dashboard, put in our school. Look at all this stuff.
Wonderful, thank you. Any questions? All right, 20.0, business manager update.
So I started on the first interim report, that will be presented at the December board meeting for approval. The unaudited actuals have been sent to CE, they've been going, I spoke with the director, the business director, she used to be the CEO at Anderson High School District. Anyways, she said everything looks good, the only thing was the CEA wasn't met, which was typical for the district, and so we talked about that. The maintenance of effort was reviewed by SELPA, basically, I don't know if you're familiar with maintenance of effort, but it's just saying that we need to spend as much or more on special ed than we did the year previously. And so that test is run at every budget. It was met, they did 4 different tests. It's based on your local and state funding. And so each test is, one is the state and local overall, like just a flat dollar amount. One is just local flat dollar amount. The other one is state and local per student. And then again, just locals per student. So they run 4 different tests. You need to only pass one, but the idea is to pass all 4 of them because it just kind of accumulates over years and becomes complicated. So anyways, we passed all 4 for an audited actual, which was good. We did have like some changes with the deaf student. So the budget, we passed 1 test, but I don't think we're gonna have any issues passing all 4. It's just a tricky thing. You don't also want to pass by so much that you struggle to meet it the next year.
Right, sure.
And then they, if you don't need it, they basically hold back funding if you can't need it. So anyways, that was good. I worked with the account at SELPA. I used to work with her. She was very helpful in guiding me through some of that. The audit is still in progress, where I probably won't see that report until December. And then I'm on the executive board for NCSAG, which is the local insurance group. And we had, Rhonda had put in a request that we move insurance for our confidential and certificated staff next year. And so the board passed that. So nothing's happening right now, but it had to go through the approval processes, audited all of the pre-approval stuff. I think they were kind of the last. So,
Like the insurance provider, like for instance, going from like Blue Cross to Anthem, and that's what it's the same thing, but.
We will have to bring a resolution to our board for them to approve as we get closer.
so like a final approval. So it's not necessarily like our, like, I think they still use Anthem Blue Cross, but they're just a different provider,
Like a different
Plan.
solution, not a different plan.
So
or
basically,
not-
CDT got so expensive that the certificated staff who has been on this route switching for the last couple of years finally decided, we're switching because we're done with this year. Our medical went up 11.8% and our dental went up 5%. And it's just getting too expensive. And some of us can only go down so far without having money taken out of our checks because it's just getting too expensive. So STSG, they did go up this year by 4.5%, but they're still even, Teamsters went up quite a bit this year, it's between 7 and 10% this year. So they're still on the lower end of the companies that are increasing their prices. Plus we get access to Prestige for no extra charge. So they really like that as well.
Yeah, with the free procedure.
Oh, that's cool.
Where, not only employees, but their members. Yeah, they actually said that the CDT 11% was like not as high as like other places in the Bay Area and LA County. But yeah, they went through their budget and everything looks really good and it looks like they have some pretty cool plans for members coming in the next couple of years, hopefully. So, and it's good. And that was the last year.
A question on that, the special ed spending and how you have to, do they take into account, like, maybe this year we have 8 special ed students and next year we only have 6, is that?
Yes.
Or is it just,
No, they take into account for everything. They, basically they take, I think last year we had 77 students, and then this year I think it was 79. And so they run the numbers and they do per student.
it's per student, not
Yeah,
necessarily per.
Yeah,
per-
and,
okay.
and that's why that second test in both state and local comes into play. Because maybe you didn't spend as much as last year, but also you had less students. And there's a lot of exemptions, and so that's how we were able to meet it for the budget for this year, was that, that student that had the interpreter, and then the ERICS program, there's 2 students in that program, so we were able to claim them as exemptions, saying this is why our projected cost is lower, because we have these 3 students who, cost a lot of money, they're not in this program.
Okay, that's why I wanted to make sure it was looked at by student
And then-
rather than by coach.
The state has also came out a couple of years ago, and me and the SELPA account were talking about it because even she was like, it's been a really long time to understand. They're coming up with other kind of exemptions to help everyone pass it. It's called, it's a PCARF. It's basically how much of our like overhead or administrative costs are also applied to what our special ed, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So it's kind of like an indirect cost in a way, which we didn't need to use that, but looking forward, she said that would be something to look at.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions other than the one they asked? Okay. 21.0 enrollment update. As of November 7th, 2025, 454 students grade TK through 8, including CDS. The trend is continuing down. Next meetings, December 10th, 2025. January 26th, the date is pending based on our organizational meeting to be held in December. Board meetings, this says 5:30, but generally they're at 5.
And if you wanted to keep them, so I just.
No, I just I'd rather keep it at 5, and if we have a light closed session, then we can pare it down to half an hour. That way everyone's at least prepared to be here at 5, based on our work schedules. Just with this one, with only having a couple items on the closed session agenda, it felt like we could get it done in half an hour. I was wrong. We got it done, but we were 3 minutes over. So, I would rather keep it at the 5 o'clock time so that everyone's at least prepared to be there, because we may have more closed session items next month and need that whole hour. So I'm gonna change that to say 5 o'clock for, the open session and 5:05 for the closed session. 6 o'clock for open session, 23.0, adjourn open session.
I make a motion that we adjourn open session.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all very much. Wanda, I'm gonna give you this, but I'm gonna ask that you tomorrow scan it